Welcome to AP Human Geography, the Cultural Landscape, Chapter 1, Key Issue 2. I'm your host, Andrew Patterson. Why is each point on Earth unique? That's really important to us as geographers because we look at why people live where they do and how they interact with each other. So what makes a place unique? Place is a specific point on Earth distinguished by a particular characteristic. What's unique about where you live? For us, we live in Dallas, Texas. What's unique about that? Location is a position that something occupies. So where is Texas Stadium? Where is the ballpark in Arlington? That's the position that these places occupy. A toponym. This is a name given to a place on Earth. So if we talk about Coppell, Texas, that's the toponym. If we talk about the American Airlines Center, perhaps that's a place that's near the toponym of Dallas. Site is the physical characteristic of a place. So if we are on a site, what is the physical characteristics of that place? Well, Dallas, we've got the Trinity River, we've got flat landscape, we have skyscrapers and things like that that are the physical characteristics. Situation is the location of a place relative to other places. So if we've got the American Airlines Center, what's its situation? Well, it's near downtown. It's across from the Trinity River. It's next to the rail line. It's southeast of the North Dallas Tollway. That is the situation. So we look about the site in China here, in Shanghai, China. The site, well, we've got a river, we've got some skyscrapers, we've got their tower here. That's our site. The situation of Shanghai is, it is on the west side of the East China Sea. It is at the mouth of the Yangtze River, and it's in eastern China. We look at region. What's unique about an area? Region is an area. A region is an area of the Earth defined by one or more distinctive characteristics. We start to put together pieces of this puzzle of geography to tell us why people live where they do, what they do, and how they interact with each other. And these are tools that we use to do that. When we look at the cultural landscape, which consequently is the title of this book, we're looking at a combination of cultural, economic, and physical features giving a region character. What's our cultural landscape in Texas? Is it that we wear cowboy hats and boots and we have cattle and we drive trucks? I mean, not really, but that's what people think, right? As part of our cultural landscape. So when we talk about regional studies, we look at why an area is fashioned from nature by a culture or group. What about our nature in Texas is unique, and why do we have a cultural perspective of cattle and railroads and Western people wearing maybe guns on their hip and cowboy hats? Why is this region thought of like that? When we talk about regions, we're able to organize them using a few different terms here. If we talk about a formal region, otherwise also known as a uniform region, we look at an area where everyone shares common characteristics. For example, if I say Texas, that is a formally recognized region. We know that the borders are clearly defined. That is our region. Perhaps if we look at the political polls and we see that, well, which state's Democratic, which state is Republican. Maybe we look at Nebraska, and that chooses one of those backgrounds. So that's going to be a formally recognized region. But formal regions are pretty clear to understand because they're formally recognized. Functional region is another way we organize areas. Formal, also known as nodal region, because this area is organized around a node or a focal point. So for example, if we have television stations, this is our functional region. Like this television station down here serves this functional region. There's a television station and everything revolves around it. When I worked for K10 Television in Denison, Texas, it was way up here north, almost in Oklahoma. So this television station perhaps served all of this region of North Texas. All right, but you can also have like a newspaper route or maybe a radio tower that only serves a certain area. Maybe you have a bus transit system that serves one area. This is a functional region. Then we've got the vernacular region, or perceptual. This is what we perceive, or this is what we speak of in our vernacular. This is an area that people believe exists as part of their cultural identity. What we mean by that is, if we say the South, what do you think of? Like where do you think of when I say the South? What are some things that you think about? Well, I know commonly in our classes when we have this discussion, we're thinking about, well, it's the South. It's where people they wear cowboy boots, they drive trucks, they wear trucker caps. Maybe they traditionally have grown cotton, and so you come up with these things that you perceive in your mind or that you think of as the South, and you can see that it's not a clear line because people think of the South in different ways, and it's not clear where those demarcations are because it's vernacular, it's perceived, but we still organize our understanding of regions and areas in that matter. Regions of culture. So what is culture? It's a body of customary beliefs, material traits, and social forms that together constitute the distinct tradition of a group or people. So culture is people's beliefs, the things that they have, and how they unite together to make up their traditions of these people that are in this area. Culture is what people care about, and it's what people take care of. Geographers study why customary ideas, beliefs, and values of a people produce a distinctive culture in a location, in a place. Ways we look at that are language. How do people communicate? That makes part of their culture. What's their religion? What are their beliefs and practices? That's part of their culture. What's their ethnicity? And these things all go together into that, their physical traits, their language, and their religion. These are what people care about, and geographers look at that as part of culture. Culture is also what people take care of. What do they have? What's their material wealth? What kind of food do they eat? What clothing do they wear? Where do they live? How do they keep shelter from the elements? We also look at developed countries versus developing regions. We look at developed countries like, the United States. We've got healthcare, we've got education, we've got infrastructure, roads, hospitals, and such. And then we've got developing regions, areas that maybe don't have any of that or some of that. And we'll get more in depth down the line with that. But these are all things that make up people's culture. And definitely as geographers, we look at spatial association, meaning space, like not up in outer space, but areas, space, and how they are connected and organized. We look at data by scale, which is how zoomed in or out we are, and find varying conclusions. For example, if we look at the US scale, we see that the Great Lakes in the South have more cancer than the West. So here's the Great Lakes in the South, and we see they have much more cancer than the entire western area of the US. So based on that scale, this area seems to be the most covered with cancer cases. If we zoom into the state scale, we see that Eastern Maryland has more cancer than Western Maryland. I'm sorry, this is Maryland. We're going to look over here. We're not over at the city yet. If we're looking at Eastern Maryland, we see that they have more cancer than Western Maryland. All right? And we're going to adjust our scale again, going all the way into the city. This is Baltimore now, within Maryland, within the United States. We see that lower levels of cancer are found in the northern portion of Baltimore. Well, why is that? That's what I love about geography. Now we ask why. Well, perhaps this area is away from factories. Perhaps this area is away from pollutants. Perhaps this area has a higher income people that are able to afford health care. Perhaps this area is fully educated and they know how to access products and take care of their health, so they're not getting as much cancer. But we look at all of those things and put them together as geographers.